The grand hall shimmered in a sea of red and gold, a perfect testament to a traditional Chinese wedding. Over 300 guests filled the room, their cheerful chatter echoing off the ornate decorations. At the center of it all stood Jieming and Xiaoling, he, a successful 32-year-old architect, and she, a radiant 30-year-old dentist. To anyone looking, they were the picture of perfection, the stars of a real-life fairy tale. But beneath the glittering surface, the first cracks were already beginning to show. Jieming's mother, Chen Lanfang, pulled a cousin aside, her voice a sharp whisper against the festive noise. "Look at this," she hissed, gesturing subtly towards the dowry display. "It's modest, isn't it? For a dentist's salary, you'd think they could have managed a bit more." She leaned in closer, her expression sour with disappointment. "My nephew's wife, her family gave them a car and an apartment. This barely covers the banquet." She sighed dramatically, ensuring her relatives understood her deep dissatisfaction. The comparison hung in the air, a poisoned dart aimed at the new bride. Meanwhile, on the other side of the room, Xiaoling's mother, Li Mailan, was conducting her own quiet rebellion. She surveyed the banquet tables with a critical eye, her lip pursed, their cutting corners as she muttered to her sister, "Look at this menu. And the seating. Why are our most important relatives stuck near the back? It's a clear sign of disrespect." Her passive-aggressive comments floated around the table like a bad omen, her displeasure a stark contrast to the celebratory atmosphere. She felt her family had been slighted, and she wasn't about to let it go unnoticed. The tension wasn't limited to the mothers. Jieming's father, Lin Zhigang, a retired teacher known for his proud and rigid demeanor, stood with his arms crossed, a stone wall of a man. He refused to entertain any of the minor complaints filtering back to him, believing everything was done perfectly, according to his standards. Across the room, Xiaoling's father, Su Wenhui, a naturally cheerful businessman, tried his best to be a bridge between the families. He smiled, he offered toasts, he attempted light-hearted conversation, but his efforts were met with polite but firm indifference from Lin Zhigang. The two patriarchs, the new heads of a united family, pointedly avoided speaking to one another, their silence stand off a chasm growing between them. The celebration roared on, a symphony of clinking glasses, laughter, and music, but for Xiaoling, the noise was beginning to fade. Amid the chaos of toasting relatives and the forced smiles, she realized Jieming was gone. He wasn't at the head table, nor was he mingling with guests. A knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. She excused herself, her shimmering red dress a blur as she moved through the crowd, searching for him. Her heart pounded a nervous rhythm against her ribs. Where could he have gone on their wedding night? She checked the restrooms, the outdoor terrace, the main lobby. Nothing. Then, she noticed the door slightly ajar down a quiet, dimly lit corridor leading to the staff rooms. A sliver of darkness beckoned. Pushing the door open gently, she peered inside. The room was a small, cluttered storage space, and there, sitting on an overturned crate in the near-total darkness, was Jieming. His broad shoulders, usually so straight and confident in his tailored suit, were slumped. He had his head in his hands, and a sound she'd never heard from him before reached her ears, the quiet, choked sob of a man trying to hold himself together. She froze in the doorway, her breath caught in her throat. He looked so utterly alone, so broken. She took a half-step forward, ready to rush in and comfort him, but something stopped her. She watched, hidden in the shadows, her heart aching for him, unsure what to do or say. Just as she was about to reveal herself, a faint light illuminated his face. His phone was ringing. He wiped his eyes hastily, his back still to the door, and answered, his voice thick with emotion. "Wait. Yeah, it's me." There was a long pause as he listened, his shoulders tensing. Xiaoling held her breath, an unwilling eavesdropper to this intensely private moment. She could only hear Jieming's side of the conversation, but it was enough. I don't know." he finally said, his voice barely a whisper, cracking with despair. I'm standing here, in the middle of all this. And I don't know if I made the right decision. The words struck Xiaoling like a physical blow. The right decision. Was he talking about their marriage? About her? The joy and love that had filled her heart just moments before evaporated, replaced by a cold, flooding tide of doubt. Her perfect fairy tale shattered into a million pieces. The smile fell from her face, her expression crumbling into one of shock and utter heartbreak. Her dream wedding had just become her worst nightmare. What happens now? What did he mean? Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because you won't want to miss what happens next.